right. Let yourself lie down and bring that strap with you. So as you settle onto the floor, just give yourself a minute. Just feel your breath. Let yourself sink in a little bit. Okay, we're just going to pull the right knee into the chest. You point and flex the toes a little bit. Reach that foot right up to the sky. Maybe you're holding the sides of the legs, maybe not. Pull the toes down towards you, and the whole leg can just be gently stretched up towards your chest. Find rotation, where it just feels like you turn the foot in the sky, inwardly, outward. And then draw your knee into your chest and loop the strap around the sole. As you stretch it up to the sky, your hands can walk right up. So it's almost like your arms feel like they're heavy. They're hanging on as high up as they can, but then the shoulders just drop down towards the ground. It's a nice tractioning of those shoulders as they can draw down with the heaviness of the arms, helping ground them. You're pressing up through the sole of the foot and pulling the toes down and just feeling the length in the back of your leg. Perhaps there's a gentle, just sort of forward, backward pull where you release the leg and then gently pull it towards you a little. You do have to be careful here around hamstring tendon, back and knee. So if there's any sensitivity, you're not going too far. And then hold the strap just with your right hand and open your left arm up beside you. I've got my left foot on the floor, knee bent. And as you slowly go to drop this leg, you're gonna let it lower to the right. But our goal here is to not let the left knee fall open. So just notice where it is in space that you need to hold that foot so that either the left knee doesn't fall open or the left hip doesn't peel up off the floor. You might feel your low belly turn on. Your goal is to keep the back of your neck and shoulders relaxed. So I see people all the time kind of drop the foot down to the floor, but it's like they've passed the work. You've passed where the work is. And if we can get this hip socket working nicely, it's often a really nice release for the low back. So I want you to bring the foot all the way up to point to the sky again, and then take that same slow release open to the right. Just noticing when tension rises in your body, trying to use strain or tension to grip you back to the floor. We want to stay away from any of that kind of tension and just strength. So you might even feel that grippiness in the back of your neck. If that turns on, then bring the foot back up to the ceiling again. So every time you bring the foot back up to the ceiling, you're resetting. You're telling your body not to use those sort of cheats, the back of the neck, the gripping, the tension. Good. This time as the foot comes right back up to the ceiling, release it. No, I lied. Let's leave it up there for a sec. Take it, strap into your left hand. Right arm opens to the side. So the foot just falls to the left 1 or 2 inches. Our goal is to try and feel something in the different set of muscles down the leg. So sometimes this will change it to be calf and the outside edge of the hip. You might even bend your knee and notice that the difference between bent knee falling left and straight leg going left. And bending and straightening it a few times just to feel the difference. So now let's let it be a twist. The foot can fall, the whole hip apparatus starts to turn and reach left. Your right shoulder stays relaxed. Your hands holding the foot in the air with the strap, just wherever it's most comfortable sitting. On your exhales, just allow that right shoulder to release. Feel the whole side of your body, from the armpit all the way down to the hip. Just fall away. And then inhale, draw that foot back up to the ceiling, let the left leg follow. Release the strap. So the foot now turns outward and falls onto the front of the bent left leg. So you're in that figure 4 pose. And just gently push the thigh away from you and let it come back into your belly button. And push the thigh away from you and let it come back into your belly button. So my left hand is on my left hip. And I'm just noticing if I can move the leg bone in the hip socket without my pelvis rocking. Good. And then take this pose. Your arms can open up beside you. Left foot gently leaves the floor. And the right shin feels like it comes closer to the chest. Just spend some time here softening the upper body, letting your breath relax and rest down the chest and the shoulders and the neck. Your inhale can invigorate the legs and ask them to do this work. A little bit of an extra push with that left leg, and then drop the left foot to the floor, right foot to the ceiling, and release it to the mat. Before we do the other side, just straighten both your legs. Feel a nice long breath reach through your body. And notice if you can feel the difference between your breath reaching into the right leg and the breath reaching into the left. So I always think if our goal in yoga is to let breath into the body, we're just checking in to see how good we're doing with that intention. And then your knees can bend, left knee comes into your chest. Just give it a squeeze. Notice that stretch at the hip flexor. Reach the left heel up to the ceiling. The hands can be holding the side of the leg, toes pulled down towards you, and then just gently rocking that foot forward and back. Let your breath just lead everything. Your knee can come down into your chest. Oh, let's do rotations first. Rotations. Inward and outward. Just rocking your, twisting your foot in the air. And then bending into that knee, strapping the foot and reaching up to the ceiling. The hands reach high. The shoulders drop heavy to the floor, and you'll feel that extra tug on the back of your leg when the arms are heavy. And just notice that. Thigh bone sinks into hip socket. You can play here a little bit. Maybe you're bending and straightening your leg. Maybe you're just moving the foot forward and back. Take the strap into your left hand. Your right arm opens up beside you. Your right knee stays pointing to the ceiling. Your right shoulder stays resting. So just notice how the right side of your body feels. What you're watching for is tension and grippiness. And slowly you start to open the leg to the left. Just notice when there wants to be a compensation. Check with the back of your neck. Only let yourself go so far so that if anything's working hard, it's your leg, it's your low belly. It's not your shoulders. It's not your neck. The right knee isn't falling to the side. Lots of times if you go too far here, you'll just be using tension to push the whole right side of the body down into the floor. You'll be locking up your neck and shoulders. Bring your foot back to the sky, reset and try again, and just notice what you can notice as you allow that leg to fall left. You kind of feel your tipping point where if you let the leg go just even a tad more, you can feel all this grippiness come into the body. Reset one more time, bringing the foot back to the ceiling. Yeah, lengthen the toes to the sky and change which hand is holding the strap. Bringing the right hand onto the strap, opening your left. And the foot just falls across the body. The outside of the hip opens. Here you may choose to sort of bend the knee and straighten it and notice the different sets of muscles that are engaged in the stretch. Yeah, and then let it become a twist. So we allow the right elbow perhaps to land on the floor, the left hip to peel off the mat, the whole body to start to twist right. At the same time, you're letting the left shoulder stay as relaxed to the floor as it wants to be, as it can be. Now we just focus on our exhale. Feeling like you're softening the left hip away from the left shoulder. That you're lengthening up that side body. And then draw the left foot back up to the ceiling. Right knee follows. You can unengage the strap from the sole of the foot. We outwardly rotate that foot in the sky and drop the heel onto the right thigh. Right hand perhaps holds the right hip. Left hand on left thigh. And you gently push the thigh away from you and then let it draw back towards your belly. Just notice if there becomes a time in the push that you're pushing the back of your head into the floor or something else in your body starts to try and anchor you. We're really trying to just concentrate our range of motion in this hip socket. If we can get the psoas muscle working nicely, then usually we can eliminate back pain. So all of these movements here require the psoas to just have some rest. Rest and then engagement and rest and engagement. Good. Okay, so with the apparatus of your legs like this, open up your arms. Here too, we're going to try not to let the upper body do the work. The right foot leaves the floor, drawing the left shin in towards the chest. Use your exhales to consciously release the back of your head, the back of your neck, the back of your shoulders. Use your inhales to just infuse the legs and perhaps even the low belly with effort and vigor and strength. Keep softening the upper back body. Nice. And set that foot back down on the floor. Right foot lands, left foot goes up to ceiling and grounds down on the floor. Just take a deep breath. Perhaps you let your legs stretch straight out in front of you. Notice if you feel now the breath infusing more equally down into each leg. Both knees slide up into chest. Feet reach for the floor. You're coming to happy baby pose, dead bug pose. You're grabbing the inside arches of the feet, pulling the knees into the armpits, unrolling the tailbone. The toes pull up towards the wall behind you, the floor behind you. The knees reach into the armpits, and at the same time, uncurl your tailbone. Press the tailbone and the sit bones to the opposite end of your mat. Breathe. Release the soles of the feet and grab the big toes, and then just stretch, opening the heels to the sky. Legs are as straight as they want to be. Okay, you can rock right and left here if you like, or you can release those legs, cross the ankles, hold your shins and rock right and left. And then bring yourself all the way up to seated. Just roll. You might want to roll, I don't know, you might be on a harder floor too, so just come up gently. Let's bypass seated altogether and come to hands and knees. I want you to walk your hands just a little bit further forward than your shoulders. Take your hips back towards your heels. Draw yourself back up to tabletop, and then let the hips sink downward. Inhaling back to tabletop. Exhale to child's pose. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale, just pull the shoulders down your back as you let the hips release to the floor. And then go the other way again. So if you're following your breath here, every inhale brings you back to tabletop, and the exhales drop your hips forward or back. Just think of the hips when you bring them forward. Also bring the shoulders away from your ears as your hips come down to the floor. There you go. Big stretch, sit bones reach to heels as you go backwards. Okay, allow yourself to come back up to center. Walk the hands a little bit closer under the shoulders and take your right foot out to the side. I'm going to put the mound of the big toe and the heel down and press the pinky toe side towards the floor. And then just start to sink hips to right heel. Up and down here. Feeling the opening in through the inner thigh. One more time. Pull yourself back to hands and knees. Release the right knee down underneath you. Stretch the left foot out to the side. Mound of big toe, heel touch the ground, and then press the pinky toe side of the foot down towards the mat. Your bum then releases to your left heel, and you come up again. Move with your breath. Notice which side in your body is easier. Coming back up to center and then drop that knee underneath the hip again. Okay, so take your right hand and reach it underneath you and hold the left side ribs. Keep your awareness on your hips, and I want you to roll your right shoulder towards the ground and lift back up again. Roll your right shoulder and then lift to be square again. So your goal here is to get some nice spinal movement happening, but your hips don't move. So don't let yourself collapse into that right rib cage. If this is crazy on the shoulders and you need to be on the forearm of the left hand, you can do this from left forearm as well. Just building some nice congruent strength. Good, let's release that. And you're gonna do the same on the other side. So left hand sweeps to grab the right side ribs. Left shoulder releases and pulls back up again. Hips stay level. There's no capsizing in those hips. Choose if you want to be on the forearm of that right hand. Nice, and then come back up. Both hands release to the ground. Palms are spread wide, knees underneath. So feel the shoulder blades on the back body. And I want you to just drop the chest down so the shoulder blades squeeze to the spine. And then lift the chest up so the shoulder blades pull away from the spine. So all you're practicing here, it's not a push-up because the elbows don't bend. But you're feeling the slide of the shoulder blades on the upper back. Good. Release that and then come to forearms. Spread the fingers wide and the thumbs can almost touch together. You can feel the bottoms of your palms touch. And then I think we're gonna curl our toes. Yeah, we're gonna curl our toes under and lift the bum. So just notice how if you press in, you can lift your body up and away from the shoulder joint, and then slowly let your nose come forward towards the thumb and pull yourself back again. Gentle. It does not have to be a big movement. There's tons of muscles working in that upper back. Good work. Bend the knees. Separate them wider than your hips. Touch your toes together. Sink back towards your child's pose. So here you're trying to give your shoulders a break. You might take your elbows wide. For sure, you're going to find a spot where the forearms can rest on the floor. Taking a nice deep breath and relaxing the shoulders. Palms press into the ground and lift yourself up to hands and knees. The right hand sweeps underneath the left armpit, lowering that right shoulder down onto the mat. Left palm presses into the floor in front of your face. Gentle push. Left shoulder up to ceiling. Breathe. Perhaps your head, the right shoulder resting on the floor. They might not be. There's a nice diagonal stretch. You might even feel like your left hip sort of reaches in the opposite direction, pulls away from your shoulders. Nice. Breathe in and come up. Plant your right hand, reach the left underneath. Right palm presses into the floor. Right shoulder opens. Perhaps your right sit bone pulls in the opposite direction. Inhale and let yourselves come up. Beautiful. Palms land into the floor, knees underneath hips, toes curl under. Let's do a downward dog. Knee bends deeply so that you can draw your chest back towards the thigh so you can align the wrists to the sit bones in a long straight line. So you're focusing on that. You can do a couple deep knee bends, just reinforcing the length of your spine with each one. Nice. Now gaze to the thumbs. All I'd like you to do now is draw your right knee forward to your right wrist. When you let it land on the floor, sweep your toes to the left side of your mat, sink back with your left leg. So you're coming to pigeon. Nice, palms land. Keep your hips square to the floor and gently let your upper body start to drape forward. If there's any reason your knee, ankle, or hip don't like this one, we can go back to figure 4 so you just roll over onto your spine. Sit bones soften. Breathe into the tightness of that right hip. So if it's available in your body, you can stack your fists and rest your head. And what you start to notice is how much tension is in your neck and shoulders, how wide you can take your elbows, where the elbows have to be for greater support of the upper body. Just mess around with the placement of the head, the hands, the upper body, the arms, so that everything is as much at rest as possible. And then gently just take a moment or two to let the hips sway right and left. It's a small movement, maybe like an inch to each side. And then your hands walk up. Our goal and then the next move is to let blood flow back into the right leg. So curl your left toes under, stretch up towards downward dog, and then let your right leg reach to the sky. Bend that knee and open it up to the ceiling. Maybe do little rolls of that knee, circles in the sky. Right and left. Sweet. That knee can come all the way through to your chest. It might take you 10 little steps, but see if you can put that right foot down between your hands. Stretch that left leg back behind you into a bit of a runner's lunge. Good. And then as you feel anchored in the feet, bring your hands up onto the shin. Start to hover your body over top of that front thigh. Roll your shoulders down your back and let the hands stretch towards your hips. Push through the crown of your head. Beautiful. Now imagine you wanted to bring your spine up in a straight line, so the tailbone wants to point to the floor. Perhaps your back knee will have to bend a little bit. Let the fingers come up to the sky. Breathe. 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 And then slowly bring your hands back down to the mat. Plant them. Stretch your right foot back to downward dog and up to the sky. And then push it onto the floor. From downward dog, just paddle a little bit, sway your hips. Notice what you've just done into your right leg. New strength you found there. Left knee comes to left wrist. Toes go to the right side of the mat. Pigeon on this side. Right leg reaches back behind you. Breathe. Just take your time. Take your time choosing what this pose needs to look like. Slowly allowing yourselves to drop down if that feels okay in the body. Fists perhaps stack, messing with how much the upper body needs to take responsibility for the weight. Notice how much the hips can carry of your release of the weight. Softly allow those hips to sway forward, back, right, left. You're never touching up against pain, but you're messing around in the safe zone. Just experiencing all the sensations of that stretch in the left hip. And let's slowly walk our hands up. Our goal to let blood flow back into that left leg. Curl the right toes, stretch to down dog. Left leg lifts to sky, big stretch. Perhaps the knee bends and opens to the ceiling. Let's do some shoulder rolls. Sorry, that's not a shoulder roll. That's a knee roll. Okay. Close the hips, knee points to floor. Now you're thinking of knee coming in towards chest. What would it take to sweep that foot forward and let it land between the hands? Sometimes I have to take it to the outside of the left hand and then move it in. Good. So just take a moment to find the front knee grounded over top of the front ankle, the back toes curled under, heel pushed away, your legs supporting you. Yeah. As you inhale, you get to lift your chest up off that thigh, roll the shoulders down the back, and reach the hands towards the heel. Stretch through the crown of the head. Push through the back heel. Beautiful. Now imagine the spine coming upright. Think of the tailbone coming to the floor. Perhaps the back knee needs to bend a little. Hands open to sky. They can be wide. Breathe. 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 Good work. Let those hands release right back down to the floor. Plant the palms, sweep the left foot back, downward dog. And when you get to downward dog, just allow the hips to sway right and left. Paddle one heel to the floor at a time. It's like your whole job is to put juiciness into the body, to replace stiff tension with suppleness and flow. Gaze to your thumbs, knees bend. Let's walk feet to hands. Tabletop, hands to shins, long, flat back. Beautiful. Exhale and release. Fingers lift all the way up to the sky and drop them to your heart. Inhale, hands to sky. Deep forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale. Plant the palms, long exhale, step to plank. Shoulders roll forward over top of wrists. Bend your elbows or come to forearms or drop to knees. Slowly releasing the whole upper body to the mat. Uncurl the toes, lift the legs, pull them out of the hip sockets, set them back down. Hands pressed on floor beside shoulders. Roll the shoulders down your back. Nose and chin point to the floor. Few little cobras here as you just use your chest and back muscles to lift off the floor. No pressing into hands. We're not using the arm strength. No pulling up with nose or chin. We're not using the back of the neck. Yeah. Okay, so now I want you to alternate. Put the chest down. Lift the toes, shins, knees, maybe thighs. Put them down. Lift the chest and release. Lift the legs and release. Chest and release. Legs and release. Good. One more chest. Lower it back down. Crisscross your arms under your forehead. Bend your knees. And sweep the feet right and left in the sky. Allow your low belly to be massaged on the floor. Allow the low back to release. Hands press into the floor, toes curl under. Push to hands and knees. And then all the way up to downward dog. Gaze to your thumbs, knees bend, bring your feet forward to your hands. Tabletop. Now just stretch into this tabletop. Reach the crown of your head forward. Lengthen. It's almost like you're lengthening from pubic bone to base of your throat. Just feel that get nice and long. And then lengthen the collarbones away from the breastbone out to the shoulders. Widen there. Like a big crisscross on the front of your body. Yeah. You can feel the back muscles contracting and pulling you open on the front. Good. Bend your knees deeply and inhale, hands to sky. Drop the hands right back down to the heart. Step back with your right foot. Ground that heel down into the floor. Reach the front knee forward. Breathe. Breathe. Perhaps you let the hands rise to the sky in a warrior one. Allowing them to drop back down to your heart, straightening the front leg, and allow yourself to fold forward. Keep the spine long. Breathe. Stretch through the spine, push through the soles of the feet, keep the legs as straight as they can be, and then press through the soles of the feet to come back up. Nice. Bend into the knees, step forward with the right, back with the left, front knee bends. Yeah. Soles of your feet ground down. Hands float to the sky, front knee reaches back, heel grounds. Breathe. Nice. Nice. Hands drop right back to your heart. Straighten the front leg. Beautiful forward fold, both legs straight. Keep the spine long here. Like you're practicing using all of those back muscles to hold your chest up and parallel to the floor. Chin can be relaxed, back of your neck is soft. Breathe. Push into the feet, let yourself come all the way up. Turn both sets of toes so that you're wide on the mat. Nice. Hands come to the hips and allow yourself to forward fold. So lengthen through the crown of your head, flat back folds forward. Now if your low back's achy today, you might put a bend in those knees, drop your elbows onto your knees, and as you sway back and forth here, you're just keeping your spine straight, parallel to the floor. Play around if you want to go further. You'd straighten the legs and drop fingers towards the floor. They can hang on, they can tent on the floor or be on your legs. Now drop the chin. Feel the head get heavy on the spine. And then softly, one vertebrae at a time, let yourself release all the way towards the hips. You'll feel the opening in the back of the legs. Perhaps the hands walk backwards in line with the toes. Remember your alternative if the back does not like this. Good. So you're just going to lift your head enough to lengthen the spine again. It feels like you're pulling the crown ahead away from the tailbone. And then I want you to walk your hands towards the right foot, bending into that right knee, lifting the right heel and turning and grounding the left heel on the mat. Breathe. Perhaps the hands can come up to your heart. Maybe they stay on the floor. Releasing them down. Going all the way over the other side. Left heel rises, right heel turns and grounds into the floor. Fingers can stay on the mat, or if balance permits, hands can lift to heart. Fingers release back down to the ground. Both feet press into the mat. Bring your hands back to center. Good. So just feel how much weight is grounding down through your palms. Notice if you can shift any of that weight to the feet. Come up onto tented fingers, lengthen the spine parallel to the floor. Draw hands to hips. Perhaps there's a bend in the knees so that when you come up, the tailbone can point to the floor and the crown of the head draws to the sky, flat back, rises up. Look how many of you are in class, so good. And then heels and toes come back together. Nice. Ground through the soles of your feet, lengthen through the crown of the head, roll the shoulders down the back. We'll do a nice balance pose. Drawing weight off. Not yet. Put hands on your hips. Slide your back down an imaginary wall. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so just hang out there before your bum kind of pokes out behind you. It's not a very deep bend. Left foot takes your weight. Relax your shoulders. Now, as you peel weight off your right heel, don't let your shoulders get tight. You're gonna spring off those right toes, cross the right foot over your left leg. Yeah, so now you wanna seal those thighs together, but as you do, you don't wanna tip your pelvis. So just sink a bit lower. Maybe you're gonna drop the right toes on the floor. They can stay there. They can also rise. They can also tuck behind, but all of those need to keep the pelvis neutral. All of those choices. So pick the choice that suits you. Open your arms wide. Right goes underneath left. You can hang on to shoulders or you can lift palms. So like you might be here, toes on the floor, hands on shoulders. It's all good. Elbows pull away from chest. You might be in a deeper version. Breathe. Steady. Think of the hips sinking lower as the elbows lift higher. Nice. Untangle those arms, lift the right knee, and then shoot that right foot back behind you. So you can be in a really upright airplane pose, or you can continue to fold on the fulcrum of your left leg, the top of that left leg, into a deeper warrior three. Nice. Inhale and come all the way up. Plant that foot. Breathe. Hands to hips. Slide your back down an imaginary wall. Not very far. Right foot takes your weight. Relax the neck and shoulders. Peel the left heel, super slow. Let the knee bounce off the ground. The toes cross over that right leg. The thighs go to seal together. Usually means you've got to bend the right knee further. Your choice. Planted toes, a little bit lifted or tucked behind. Arms open. The left goes underneath the right this time. So hands to shoulders, elbows lifted, or hands wrap, elbows rise. Breathe. Find stillness. Drop the hips, lift the elbows. Breathe. Nice work. Slowly open those arms. Nice. Lift that right knee. Set it on the mat. Drop your hands. Separate the feet hip width apart. Drop the hands down, shoulders relax. Big breath in. You're just noticing the movement of breath in your body. Paying attention to the prana, the life force, the energy. All we've done with our yoga practice is we have removed obstacles, the grip, the tension, the bracing, the stress, and created more clear pathways for this essential flow. You have become a collaborator with your own health and vitality. Next inhale, let the fingers draw all the way up to the sky. Next exhale, deep forward fold towards the mat. Put the hands on the legs and stretch that spine long and straight, parallel to the floor. Deep bend into your knees, plant your hands, step your body back to plank. Choose if you want to be on your toes or your knees, your forearms. Breathe. Your next pose can be child's pose, knees apart, stretching back towards hips to heels, or downward dog. Two more breaths. Pull yourself back up. Feet go to one side. Bum lands on the floor. And release. Yeah. Stretch both legs straight out in front of you. Draw your right knee in. And then just take it to the opposite side. Let's sit really tall. Crown of your head opens to the sky. Shoulders draw down your back. Right arm takes a nice big revolve around to plant in the floor. Left elbow hugs the knee. Every inhale, just sit tall. And then just turn gently. You're breathing in and out of your nose. You're letting the breath flow up and down your spine. The exhales lead you to twist. The inhales make you sit taller. And then unwind. Reach the right heel out in front of you. Switch legs. Left knee comes in, opens to the side. Nice long twist here. Tall spine. Right elbow hugs. Left one tense behind you. Long extended leg, toes to the ceiling. Breathe in for height and length in the spine. Breathe out for that twist. Feels so good. Draw yourself back to center. Reach the heels out in front of you. Slide your bum forward and let yourself lie on your back. We're going to find a little bridge pose here. So you're walking your heels to your sit bones. You can be rolling your shoulders under the back, planting the hands beside the hips. It's almost like fingertips are thinking if they could come close to the heels. And then press in, feet and hands. Push the shoulders into the floor and lift the hips. Let's press the backs of the elbows into the floor. Point your fingertips to the sky. It's like you created a horseshoe shape from elbow to elbow. Push through the soles of the feet, invigorate the thighs, the hips can lift higher. Breathe. You're only coming up as far as your low back allows. You're asking your body to use the grounding of your shoulders, the strength of your feet and thighs to lift you and not the low back. Breathe. Breathe. Fingertips can release right to that hip crease. Sink the hips to the floor, deepening the bend of that hip flexor. Soften the back. Draw knees into the chest. And slow roll the low back onto the floor. If you're going clockwise, let yourself go counter or vice versa. Nice big sigh. Release the feet. You can let the knees just fall together, tenting themselves, or you can let the legs stretch straight out in front of you. Hands soften on your body or open by your sides. Noticing the easy flow of breath in and out through your nose. All you're doing is staying tuned in to that magnificent flow in your body, the current that you can feel. It's like the pulse. This expansion and release, this spanda that we can feel, just mimics the same expansion and the same contraction that exists in our planet and our universe. Just allow yourself to imagine, to feel that connection to that greater rhythm. If you have the time and inclination today to just lie here for another 10 or 15 minutes, you go right ahead. If you're ready to begin movement, then let your fingers and toes wiggle. Bring yourself back up. Because I did a practice